Grand Rising.
Good morning,
everyone. Here we are again with our special guest, Sunny, and we're excited to have him here.
When was the last one? Was it December?
Was it December?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it's
was
December.
December.
Wow, time passes pretty fast there.
For sure.
Yes.
We thought we
So-
were going to see each other in a month. And
Yeah.
here we are.
Well, it's a month for us.
Yeah.
So much is going on.
So before we start, let's just touch and agree and set the tone of the space, and we'll be ready to. So we could just touch.
Oh.
So here we are again in this space, this continuous stream of bountiful energy that calls in the ancestors of higher truth, of balance, and definitely calling in the divine masculine, divine feminine, so we could have the transmission of what that looks like in real time, and have mindful awareness of self in real time as well.
Yes.
We thank you all, the spirit of the land, spirit of this space, and those guides and teachers that follow us and work with us. We are so grateful for your contribution to our funny journey. And we ask for much more clarity every day and in this moment.
And may our conversation bring more wisdom and clarity to the things that we want to know, and to expand our consciousness and to uplift our spirits.
And remember, anytime that you're seeking this vibration, this tone, this space is open for you to tap into, and there are many others, and we give thanks.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. It's a great day to be here.
It's kind of, well, yeah.
I like
It's a lot.
broadcasting.
Me too. It's cozy, it's yummy. I love it.
Okay, so where do we start?
Well, the last time, if anyone didn't tune into the last time we had Sunny on, one, it is archived, and you could go to our YouTube, which is on our link tree, and also to Elena's Facebook. She has it on there as well. And I have it on my Instagram. And again, on both our link trees, you could access our YouTube channel and you could watch. Where we had left off on is Sunny had walked us through some of the mechanics of the masculine body, some of the important attributes to address when wanting to dive deeper into knowing oneself through the masculine. And also we touched on your journey a bit, on how you came
somewhat,
to your
yeah.
healing
Can
journey.
you just, for those who didn't see you, just tell us a little bit about yourself,
Yes.
where you come from, what you do, where you're going, really
Okay.
quickly.
My name is Sunny, and I'm an acupuncturist and a Chinese herbalist. And also I do some traditional African medicine too. And I've been on this journey for the past 20 years. So it's been a pretty long, doesn't seem long, time passes pretty quickly, but I do a lot regarding with acupuncture, also Qigong, energetic medicine, all of those things in that arena I'm pretty into. So I should have prepared myself a little intro, but I didn't.
Can you
So-
tell them that too, that you have your own line of?
Oh yes, I have my own. Well, I just started a line of products, and my first product is an immunity product, and I have the next one is for men, and that one should be coming out soon. So maybe that's a good time to, that I'm talking about this right now as well. So
What's it called? So there's
Abosi Botanicals, and I'll plug the IG and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank
do
you.
want to say that our last time you were here, we did get a lot of feedback, and both men and women really appreciated
Oh,
the
cool.
information you shared. So that's a plus for everybody.
So maybe we can move forward.
Yes.
Yes. Let's go to the next idea.
So, I mean, I guess kind of picking up on where we left off, a lot of this is about alignment, I feel, alignment with nature, alignment with, because all of these principles are in nature. When we talk about masculine and feminine energy, all of these, those universal energies are present in nature in different aspects, including human beings. So the thing is to have alignment with those things in nature. And so what that does is it gives you more, it increases your vital power. Your own personal vital power can be increased by alignment with natural vital power.
How do you see alignment with natural power? What do you consider natural power?
Sun, the moon, trees, stones, all the things that are present in nature. Those things are there for us to access if we know how. And it's very easy to access the different aspects of nature. But those things help to align our power with everything that is natural and, you know, pulsating in the universe.
And speaking about the natural essences that compose us, I feel like a lot of what is promoted for men well, for a lot of us, has to do with our instinctual nature, right? Which is very earth-based. Yet we also have this cosmic nature, this other aspect of self that can expand, incorporating the earthbound forces, but it could expand into something that gains discipline over some of our appetites that are of nature, right?
Right.
So, but I think that that's something that, again, we're not introduced to enough about. Like, a lot of people might feel like it's natural for a man to have to satiate all his sexual urges or his sexual appetite, right?
Yeah.
So
Otherwise,
would
if he
you-
doesn't, you know,
what would you say that looks like when one begins to discipline themselves without making themselves feel like they're in lack of, or like if they're having to put themselves in some space of like some kind of monk aesthetic where you are isolating yourself
in
and
extremes.
yes. So what would be the beginning steps of someone who wants to gain discipline over those kind of urges?
Well, wait a minute, let me process. That the thing about it is that when we're talking about like universal masculine energy, one of the aspects of it is creativity. And so because it's a force that it's a concentrated force. Feminine energy is more expansive. Masculine energy is more concentrated. And so that aspect of it being creative or creative, like with creativity, that means that your sexual energy is something that is at the base of it is a base of creativity.
That's wonderful.
Its primary aspect and function is to give energy to create a child. But that energy can also be utilized to create other things in life. Things that you want to achieve in life and that type of thing like that. Once you start learning how to sublimate those energies and how to harness them, and you have vision, because vision is another aspect of divine, like universal masculine energy. Vision or the ability to see towards one's how can I say, to be able to see the direction in which your energy is going.
To direct the creative force.
Yeah, you have to be able to direct that. And
so not just seeing what's in front of you, but what's forward and what's behind you and what's
Right.
where you've been and where that's moving.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. And so that aspect is kind of like a part of vision. And so you have to have vision in order to create things. Nothing is created without a thought that comes into one's mental eye, or and so you have to be able to perceive something in order to create something. And so once again, learning to harness your energy in that way, it helps you to be not only proficient in the bedroom, but also proficient in life, in business that you're doing, or whatever your endeavors may be. When you have the proper alignment and your energy is aligned, then all of those things across the board are going to be much more fruitful, if that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's valid for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I think the first step is kind of recognizing who we are in the midst of all of this that's around us. And I think that recognizing that opens up the field of alignment with these things. And so alignment in the aspect of vital force, that means like in the morning going outside and connecting with the energy of the sun. And when you do that, you also are going to be like connecting with the energy of the earth at the same time. And so that's an aspect of what they call grounding now, as a whole. So you're grounding your energy in the earth, which is feminine energy, and you are looking toward the sun in order to absorb the divine masculine energy. And so that creates an empowerment for men and women. It's just not limited to men, but in this particular case, for men, it helps to align the masculine energy and harmonize it with the feminine energy, because you're pulling down and you're pulling up at the same time. And so the space where these two things are uniting are going to be here. And so that helps to create harmony within oneself. And so once you have more harmony within yourself, then you have more awareness of your fluctuations of energy within you. And so for men, going back to your question, your fluctuating sexual energy, when it feels strong and that type of thing like that, it can be utilized to forward or advance, certain aspects in your life that you need to move forward in. Also harnessing and sublimating it when you're with your partner, it allows your partner to reach the stage of fruition that she looks to achieve. And a lot of the times it's not achieved because once again, I mean, when you're looking at like raw masculine energy, or a person that's untamed per se, their focus and attention is going to be on themselves. So it's not really about satisfying your partner or anything like that. It's like, oh, I'm getting this in for myself. And so, alignment helps you become more aware of that and more balanced with that, because it's like when two people are engaged in the act of love with each other, the principle of reciprocity is there.
So it's more like a conversation instead of I'm eating my meal, I'm having a conversation.
Yeah.
Energetically,
Exactly.
physically,
Yes.
emotionally.
Yes.
And it's really not
Yes.
for either to reach a place. It's to come together to create that open portal to tap into the divine.
Yes. Yes.
That's already.
And yes, correct. And let me be a little bit more clear, because it did kind of sound like that. The part for the male in that is that he has to be aware that he has to delay his satisfaction until that opens up, because it opens up in a woman. It don't open up in him. You know what I mean? And so in order to get there, the woman has to reach a place where that opens, and then there's a coming together there. But if that aspect of a woman is closed, then it's going to be just him satisfying himself. You know what I mean? And so you're correct. I did kind of say that in a way that made it seem like
There's a goal.
I was
Yeah,
just
We
saying
gotta
that
get
for
to
the
it.
women.
No,
So we-
yeah.
so
because
we-
it'll be taken the wrong way. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
but no, I got you. But yeah, no, because okay, when you're looking at the interplay of that energy, the masculine energy is the key to open up.
It's the grounding, it's the pole
Yeah,
that
yes,
grounds.
exactly. And so that allows the feminine energy to open and expand.
So,
And once there's an open and expansion, then those two energies can come, they can unite together.
Right,
Yeah.
to create what
And exactly.
we're split in a sense, or to create
There's
that
more of a
all
unity.
Yes,
oneness.
yes.
Yes.
And that can be a child, or two people can get together and be like, hey, we got to buy a house.
Yeah,
right.
creative visions,
Or
different
vision.
creative visions.
Exactly.
Each one's vision gets created and
nurtured.
and nurtured,
Yeah.
and then there's this connection that creates a oneness within the two as well.
Mhm.
So you're saying that as a man develops his own alignment and his own balance, he is able to actually support that space of sexuality for both him and his partner.
Yes, yes. That's what happens, and it makes for a much more the relationship is a lot deeper in that way, because there's a element of patience there, of allowing something to unfold.
Mhm.
And so I think a lot of the times on the male side of things, there's an amount of impatience for that unfoldment. And so a lot of what we're talking about here when it comes to semen retention and that type of thing like that, and exercises for that's harnessing the masculine energy so that that aspect of feminine energy can open up, and the space can be there for both people to unite.
Mhm.
And I think, because to me, like, if you're talking about orgasmic space between two people, a man can have an orgasm, yes, but I'm talking about the kind where,
It's full being.
yeah, it's a thing where
It's not just a physical release.
It's not really,
Yes.
it's not based on the lower chakra.
yeah, it
just
kind of
that one
opens
space.
up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean. Like, there are exercises that if two people can do to learn to circulate that energy together, that's a whole nother thing as well. Because that requires, like, the woman to be aware and also directing her energy as well. So that depends on how advanced the couple is with each other. You know what I mean? That's not something that two basic, people on a basic
On
level.
Tinder are gonna call each other and be like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very holy thing,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean.
Mhm.
It's like
You're creating, like truly creating
yes,
together.
active. I mean, in an act, in a
Mhm.
very consciously
Mindful,
full
full body.
Yes,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
What would you say are the benefits of semen retention, even for someone who doesn't have a partner, may not be practicing, but having, sex with others, but there's still these benefits for a man
Well,
to
your semen is kind of like physically, it's that creative
find a life force.
Yeah, it's that life force, that creative life force that we're talking about. And so by preserving that, you're able to utilize that energy in other areas of your life. And when you find guys that are expending that on a constant basis, the drive for life and the drive for achievement is kind of low.
Mm.
And so you have to maintain a balance with that. You can,
Because you still, like, once a month, you still have to have some release, right?
yeah,
But you're building up throughout time, that time. before
Yeah,
that
I
happens.
mean, well, you asked me about a guy who ain't got a partner, so I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that, because I know people still practice that, right?
Well, yeah,
Even if
yeah,
they
yeah.
don't have partners.
yeah, I
How
mean,
how do you practice in that form? What is I mean, not how do you, but what?
no,
what,
I know we're about to go into this area of, yeah, no.
It's so they can know how to navigate their body.
Well, you have to
and
learn how to,
utilize what
yeah,
they
you have to learn how to be able to control that energy. And so, I mean, there are a lot of,
So there's actual methods.
there's
to
methods
the-
and techniques for that. I mean, just to give the most basic method is to like strengthen your, now me and Kat's cool. Is to strengthen your pelvic floor.
Okay.
And the most basic exercise to start on the road to that is learning to contract the muscles of the pelvic floor. And so the easiest way for a guy to learn how to do that is when you go to the bathroom to urinate, stop your urination by contracting your muscles in your pelvic floor. And guys have done that. We've done that before because you had to kind of
Right.
hold
Someone's
it in order
coming.
to, somebody comes in or,
or you're working or something.
yeah. And so that's a kind of natural thing, but you can learn to strengthen that and make it stronger. And so what are they called? Kegel exercises? Kegels. Yeah, they're Kegel exercises for men. And
As
so
well. I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's the same thing because men and women have pelvic floors. It's just the way that the muscles insert for men might be a little different than for women, but it's pretty much the exercise is universal, pretty much.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's what I meant. Like, what's a starting point? So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that. Yeah.
One of them is that.
Hmm?
What about what about a daily practice of just meditation?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like starting out the day with going outside barefoot, connecting with the energy of the sun. The best time to do that is before 10 a.m. You're safe up until 11 a.m. as well because you don't want it to get into the full energy of the sun. You want to take the subtle energy of the sun in. And so just by meditating in a horse stance or in just a shoulder width stance, that starts to ground the energy. That's the first daily practice that I would probably say to start with, because you're creating once again a natural link between the masculine and feminine energy in nature.
That sounds like qigong.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, qigong is moving and breathing, but this is just going outside and standing. So,
Simple.
I don't want to get into because that's
That's a
I
full
need to give a course
Mhm.
at that point, and I can do that,
That's another time.
But today,
But I'm just saying, like for simple starting, it's just go outside and stand outside in the sun with no shoes on. Connect with the sun's energy. You don't have to look directly into the sun. You can kind of look at the sun and like blink your eyes, and that takes the sunlight into the body, and it helps to balance the body out energetically as well. And so as well, being barefoot, it connects with the negative ions in the earth, and through the feet, those negative ions go up into the feet to the body. And so it pulls out a lot of like positive ions out of the body. And so you have like a two-tier thing going on that is charging your body up. Because that's the thing. I think a lot of guys probably need to get into a place where they're charging their body like a battery first.
yes, for sure.
Yeah. So to answer that question, just being like just being outside and just,
Do you have a basic breath work? Like say someone's at work or someone is in the morning, like they get up super early, like 4 a.m. A lot of men do, like who work
Or they
stuff
live
like
in an
construction,
apartment or
who have construction and stuff, And so what would a quick like 5-minute breath work, and not that to do it for 5 minutes right now,
No,
but
I know
like
what
say
you
if it was like 4 in or hold here.
Yeah, you can, the most basic thing to do is you can inhale on a 3 count, Or you can, I mean, it's depending on how long a person can, maintain the flow of breathing. But the basic start out is 3 in count on the inhale, 5 on the exhale. So the second is gonna make the exhale a little longer.
Mhm.
And so you count in 3, hold it for 2, exhale for 5.
Mm.
Or you can do 5 and 7, 7 and 9. It depends on how long a person can maintain that flow of breathing. But for the average person, 3 and 5 is going to be,
It's a
you
good
know,
start.
you can start with 3 and 5, work up to 5 and 7, work up to 7 and 9.
And how long would you do that?
Uh,
What is your, I mean, I know that in meditation, it's like think of nothing. But in this case, you're
Focusing
you're
on
just
the breath.
focusing on the breathing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So just focusing on counting and breathing.
yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah,
That
that
gets
makes
you
it
out of
easy
your head.
yeah, exactly. The counting part helps you to kind of get out of the thinking part of like, oh, what am I doing? And that type of thing like that.
Right.
So yeah, so I would count like internally as I do it, and externally you count out as well.
Nice.
And that actually naturally helps you to think of nothing without trying not to think of nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the focus of the counting is gonna
It's enough.
automatically, yeah.
And
So-
creating your breath to be even from in and out, that it's like a flow.
Like a flow, yeah, like it's a rotation. And so there's 2 points that you're gonna have. You're gonna inhale, you're gonna hold, you're gonna exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And so it creates like
A cycle.
like that.
And even if you're holding, you're still flowing, you're still moving that energy.
Yeah.
Like the counting even helps to
Yeah.
keep the flow.
Yes.
So
Nice.
there's a question that if matters if they're barefoot on the cement or the ground.
Not only cement, no. Because
Yeah.
sorry.
I mean, ultimately, dirt, anywhere you could be on grass or dirt is best. If you do live in an apartment or you live somewhere where it's all cement, they do sell grounding mats that are composed of natural
Yes.
elements. If you're interested, we could send you links. But yeah, that would be good.
Yeah,
So
because
that
cement is
literal barrier between.
yeah, it is. And it can drain your energy more than it can like enhance it, you know. If you
you've
ever remember, yeah.
Yeah, if you've ever dropped water on cement, it just sucks it all up. And
Yeah.
where water and our energy is water, so I
Yeah.
agree. I think
Yeah.
cement is just an energy sucker and a
Yes.
blocker too.
Yes.
And even in
vibrant
our
force.
homes, they're usually lifted off the ground, so we're not really like in ground.
Yeah,
So
no,
you might want to.
yeah, I mean it's a matter of just, going to the park. I mean, people usually have a park around their house somewhere.
Somewhere.
Or even a
Yeah.
patch
A
of grass
school.
in front,
Yeah.
like
The
the
schoolyard.
planters
Oh
right
yeah,
in
the
front of
planter
you.
in front of your house. Yeah.
Yeah, that are on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's usually
It's
something.
got to be adaptable. That's
Yeah.
Hmm.
all.
I was thinking because when you came in, I asked you about like one thing Sunny spoke on a bit last time was on the definition of masculinity and divine masculinity for the South in order to create that. Um, I'd like him to touch on that, but maybe before he does, Elena and I could talk about what we perceive it as females. So then you could just
Be like, no, that is not it.
or just so you can
That's
see the
okay.
contrast
This
of
is all
that
good.
you live.
Yeah,
You're living the body.
I'm just
It's the
making-
male
I'm only making
constitution
jokes
itself, and
here.
what that becomes for you, right,
Yes.
is different a lot of times than what we perceive that to be.
No, that's
You
true.
want to go first?
Like
Like what is divine masculinity to you?
when I can consider, just the masculine, the divine masculine within the universe, I feel like it's that place of focus. There's a single focus. There's this space of action and of the energy of doing and creating, breaking down and rebuilding. There's also the energy of direction. I feel like when I'm in my masculine, I have a clear direction of where to go, and I have the the momentum to move forward on it. I feel like that's my masculine energy moving through me. I also consider the divine masculine as a balancer, bringing things together and balancing. I mean, those are my basic connections to divine masculine.
That's pretty good.
Um, Before I go, actually, since you mentioned when you're in your divine masculine, Lena's a good example actually of the feminine body holding divine masculinity, because I see her in her divine masculine a lot, especially in work and because you're out in the world. Plus, she's a 9. She's ruled by Mars, so she has this warrior personality that protects, that mediates, and that takes action. So definitely that brings up a good point of that it can be embodied within any gender.
Mhm.
So yeah, I
Huh.
thought that was because you mentioned that when you're in it, and I see you often in that mode. For me, divine masculine, cosmically, I mean, again, of course, it's the cedar, and it's the one that waters the earth to help bring life, and it's definitely a creative, explosive power, and manifested on earth. It's also the husbandry, the one that cares for creation, the one that can protect, because it has its own power that is very much needed, that is protective, and builds foundations and preserves foundations, and yes, is very direct and not interrupted by everything that's happening around it. And that for me, I think the protective sense of it is one of the biggest things that stands out for me, or that is very much appreciated by me.
Yeah. Just to say that both of you gave very excellent. I thought I was gonna have to defend some stuff. No, I'm just kidding. No. But I mean, both were very, yes. I mean, I don't think I can encapsulate that any better. All of those aspects are definitely a part of that, cosmically and physically as well. And yeah, concentrated, initiating, because like you said, 9 is Mars, so 9 has strong initiating energy.
Mhm.
And so that's an aspect of it. And yeah, I mean, wow, all the things you all both said. I mean,
I have a question about that. Not
yeah,
about 9, but that what we have described sometimes, like you said, Chrissy, because one, I've spent a lot of time alone and I have a business. Sometimes I could get stuck in that divine, in that masculine
In our society,
and society. And I don't always like that feeling. Like, and often, when I talk to men or patients who come in, men patients who come in, they're like, if my wife would just let me be the man. There's that sense of, there's this weird over overload of women in their divine masculine. And I don't know if you've noticed that, and what would that look like? Because they say this, but what does that look like, and how can that be balanced? Like, what does that do to a man's own divine masculine?
Yeah, how can a man request that without
Well,
putting himself in a weird corner?
my first question is,
well,
what is he really feeling? What does
well,
it feel like?
it feels like, I mean, the thing is, in order to be able to address that, the woman has to be aware of that. And a lot of the times, I think that might not be. Maybe it is. I'm not really sure on that side of things. But I think what it feels like is, ooh, how can I say?
How have you experienced that when your own divine masculine is kind of being outmasculated by a woman?
Um, I mean, it just feels like someone's trying to take your spot, or
Mm.
or like something that you're accustomed to doing. And then it's like all of a sudden it's like, no, I got this. I can do it. And it's like, I guess for the average guy, it's like, well, I don't really know how to flip into doing what you know, what you left behind. I mean, and so it kind of becomes, I think for the average guy, it's kind of like, well, it's a little confusing because I
All the
think,
jobs are taken.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
It's like
taking
they're-
our jobs.
I think it's confusing for the female too,
I
because
agree.
in a
Well-
sense she wants this,
Yeah.
but then she's like, I would do it.
Well,
I
I
would do
mean,
it too.
I mean, see, what we have to look at in that dynamic is the society that we live in.
Us.
And we have to look at colonialism, and we have to look at all of these things that have us living in an upside down state, in which I call that. And so it is very difficult because in this society, men of color are not regarded as men, really.
Said that.
And so, you know, you have that kind of subtle message to you already from society. And then what that does is, due to those aspects of things, it creates a severe imbalance because and that's another thing too. I mean, you have to look at how men are raised as well.
Mhm.
Because I was looking at a video not too long ago, and it was talking about masculinity and how in most traditional cultures men were close to their mothers up to like about 10 or 11, and then they were taken away from their mothers and they were taken by the men and put through an initiation process
Wow.
in order to break that connection, in order for him to start growing into becoming a man. And so we lack that in this culture, in this society, because it's a society of conglomeration or amalgamation of different cultures and people, all falling under
And from breaking the family unit. as
yeah,
well.
exactly. So we have to kind of include all of that too, because we're trying to be natural in a very unnatural environment, and you gotta say that. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You gotta say that. And so because I think that thrusts women into the position of having to embrace both sides of things like that. Because if you're in a institutionalized society where it's not allowing the man to fulfill his aspects of what he's supposed to do, then naturally the woman is going to have to take up the slack for those things. And naturally there's going to be an animosity from the woman toward the man, and then it's going to be animosity from the man toward the woman. So, you know, those are things that we kind of have to kind of come to an understanding about, and in order to rise above that, because there's certain things that's within this institutionalized structure in society that you know it's just going to be this way until it changes. You know what I mean? And so there's certain things beyond our control that we have to acknowledge and be like, okay, these are, you know, factors in this. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of the times for women, it becomes like, well, why they just can't do, and it's just like, well, you know, come on, let's look at all of the different factors here. You know what I mean? You can't just say why this person is not doing this, and they don't have what's necessary to be able to do it in the first place.
And
So
that brings us to where this conversation is, though, because once you're a man and you walk into your own being and you want to create a mindful approach to developing your divine masculine, that's where it's like, where does he
Yes.
begin? You know, where does he create those boundaries for himself and also strengthen what he carries, what he's the embodiment of?
yeah.
You know, there's this whole idea too, when you said that we're in an unnatural space. I think that's something to consider too, because we can't just go back to hunters and gathering time, because I don't think you're talking about
And I
like
don't mean it like that.
women stay
Yeah,
home and men.
Oh, no, I don't mean it like that.
This is a time where it's an internal, spiritual balance of the masculine and the feminine.
Yes,
And because we live in a world where we need each other to,
yes.
both of us need to work, or so there's
So there's
those,
an
it's not,
adaptation process
it's,
in it.
yes,
Yes,
it's a hybrid and an evolution of
yes,
how we express or how we strengthen and, you know, seed our both sides of our
right,
being, right?
right.
Um,
And I only say that in order to, because you have to start in the beginning of knowing where you are, and you got to start in the, okay, this is where I'm at, because I got to know where I'm at in order to know the direction that I'm going in.
yeah,
And so I only mean that just to recognize that there are forces outside of this that, create an unnatural state in the first place.
in the first place.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. Now, us adapting to that and being able to, mitigate that, well, that's on us. You know what I mean? So no, I agree with that totally. But I'm just saying that I think it takes, if there's healing to be made in this, because there's a lot of fracturedness between men and women because of this. And I think that if there's healing to really be done in these areas in order to move to a higher level of being together, then there's an amount of awareness and accountability on both sides, so that we can say, okay, this is this and this is this. I acknowledge this. I acknowledge this. Okay, we see this, so let's do this better. Let's move on and move forward. But I think what happens is a lot of times is that in a healing process, uh, if both sides are not accountable, it kind of leaves resentment on one side. You know what I mean? And so you have to start in that way in order to and it's not just with men, it's in any kind of relationship. Any relationship.
Yeah.
Accountability is very important, because it allows a person to say, hey, that hurt me. And that person, the offender can say, hey, you know what? I did that.
Well, that's a great starting point then for the question I asked, is if a
Yeah.
man, if you're looking for your to redefine and perhaps strengthen your masculinity, then accountability is a good place to start. Honestly, I mean, regardless of what you get on the external, because you'll move into where that fits more.
Yeah.
Being accountable, being
Yes.
responsible for self.
Yes. Because when you're accountable, everything in your life shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be initially uncomfortable, you know what I mean? And I think that's what kind of for a lot of people is difficult, because there's the uncomfortable part is being vulnerable to enough to say, hey, I made a mistake. Or I did something that wasn't, the best character move or the best, you know what I mean? And so, but once you can embrace that, it gives you a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can wake up and reconstruct and be a better version of yourself every day. You know what I mean? And so I think that that's important as well as for men, is to be accountable for the things that that we try to kind of like make it somebody else's fault, or they did this to me, and accountability helps to balance out situations, and it makes the propensity to heal even much more greater, because there's no defensiveness there. You know what I mean?
And it's just accountability for one's own actions.
Yes.
You don't take
It
accountability
ain't
for,
your person.
or for men eons.
Yeah, exactly.
You can
behind
only
you
work
and
with right
stuff.
here,
Yeah,
right now.
like,
Exactly.
you just
Right here,
take-
right now.
Or the accountability even in your ancestors, if you are perpetrating something that was destructive in your lineage or
Yes.
whatnot, then yes, of course. But I do think it's foolish when we try to hold men accountable for all of masculinity across time. It's,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
I
it's
think,
it's
Nobody
we
can
are
take
the
that
Yeah.
burden.
Yeah,
Nobody.
I mean, we can be the end products of that, and
Mhm.
we can recognize that, and we can, but like you said, we can't take the weight for all of that. We can take the weight of, what how that has influenced us to be,
Mhm.
but that's being self accountable for you, that part of yourself, not accountable for,
This goes back to I was saying about conversations, like sexually, that I feel like the two bodies come together as a conversation, but also the conversation within yourself is how I feel like what you're saying is that each generation becomes, each person becomes the person who gets to decide, shall I carry on
yes,
this way of being
yes,
in my next, in this next phase,
incarnation, yeah,
incarnation, with this next step, with this next group of people, with this next,
yes,
and we're need to go into this awareness of who we are and where we've been, and how we might, and how we relate to each other.
hmm
And I guess I'm hearing you say be accountable for, am I continuing to be what I see or what I'm experiencing, or am I in the place where I get to be the one that evolves and shifts to this, whatever this next phase of humanity? I like what you said. It makes us reevaluate and start, like, how can I be a better human being today?
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. No, and that's where that's what's going to get us all to a place of being uplifted together, if
Mhm.
we can all embrace that. I mean, even yeah, I mean, that's another conversation in
Mhm.
itself, right
Yeah.
there. Because I mean, I'm experiencing some of that and having to look at, okay, well, how are you like how are people perceiving you in this situation? A long time ago, I would not have done that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's like, well,
Mhm.
how are you being in this situation?
Mhm.
Instead of what everybody's doing to
Right.
you, it's like, well,
This is how I'm reacting to a
yeah,
situation. It's
how are you
different.
how are you
Yeah.
being in this situation?
Mhm.
And so I mean, it's a lot of that, but I think that that really fits in alignment with like embracing your universal masculinity. It's like uh to be to have integrity. I think integrity is a very concentrated thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's not expansive.
Mhm.
Integrity is, I'm showing up, I'm going to be present, I'm here, I'm going to do what I say, and if I don't, then I'm going to be accountable.
That's right.
That's very integral to me, to masculinity on a physical level, is having integrity.
Mhm.
You know what I
Sure.
mean?
For sure.
And it's all it's and once again, it takes awareness. We have to look at where integrity makes you look at where how are you relating and how are people perceiving you in a situation that you may not be seeing. You know what I mean? And so I think that's very important right now for men to embrace that, because I mean, once again, that's something that a lot of us are not taught as young guys, and so it's something that you have to learn older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of guys missing fathers and that type of thing like that.
You
So
walk into being your grandfather, your father, your
yes,
brother.
and you have to
Yeah.
understand too, because history repeats itself. So once again, like Elena was just saying, it's like, who am I showing up to be in this pattern that's been established? You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
my family line.
Mhm.
And do I want to continue on with that? And now that I'm aware of that, I do have a choice to continue, or I have the choice to not continue.
Take
And
different action.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think this kind of goes across the board on a lot of levels. And then I mean, because when you clean all these things up, then you're clean. I mean, you know what I mean?
Sure,
Uh,
no,
You come to the table with the sense of,
your energetic body.
yes.
Yeah.
It,
yeah,
it finds balance. It's not only to be in, well, when you're in action, when you, whether it's how you're eating, how you're carrying yourself, all of that, it does create, hygiene's a part of that, and that does create the actual being, the actual resonance that you bring into a space.
yeah.